There exists a profound deception that has been passed down through generations, whispered in self-help circles, and preached from stages across the world. This deception tells you that creating the life you desire requires immense struggle, complex formulas, and years of dedicated practice. It suggests that manifestation is an art reserved for the spiritually elite, those who have mastered ancient secrets and can bend reality through sheer willpower. But what if I told you that this entire narrative is not just wrong, but actively working against you? What if the very complexity you've been taught to embrace is the prison keeping you from the freedom you seek? The truth is both startling and liberating. Quantum manifestation operates on principles so elegantly simple that most people dismiss them as too easy to be real. We live in a culture that equates struggle with worthiness, effort with results, and complexity with effectiveness. This programming runs so deep that when we encounter something that works through ease rather than effort, through being rather than doing, through surrender rather than control, our minds rebel. We convince ourselves it cannot be that simple, and in doing so, we create the very complications that block our path. Consider this for a moment. Every breath you take happens without conscious effort. Your heart beats approximately 86,400 times each day without your intervention. Your body heals cuts, fights infections, and regenerates cells while you sleep, all without your conscious participation. The most essential functions of life operate through a kind of intelligent automation, a natural flow that requires no forcing, no struggle, no complex techniques. Yet when it comes to creating the experiences we desire, we abandon this natural wisdom and enter into a battle with reality itself. The quantum field that surrounds and interpenetrates every aspect of your existence operates by the same principles as your breathing, your heartbeat, your cellular regeneration. It responds not to your effort, but to your alignment, not to your doing, but to your being, not to your demands, but to your resonance. This field is not separate from you, waiting to be convinced or manipulated into giving you what you want. It is an extension of your consciousness itself, a mirror that reflects back the deepest truths of your inner state with mathematical precision. But here lies the challenge that keeps most people trapped in cycles of frustration and disappointment. The quantum field does not respond to the voice in your head, the words you speak, or the images you visualize. It responds to something far more fundamental and authentic, the electromagnetic signature of your entire being. This signature is composed of your thoughts, yes, but also your emotions, your beliefs, your body's cellular memory, your nervous system's patterns, and the stories your subconscious tells itself about who you are and what you deserve. Most people approach manifestation like they are placing an order at a cosmic restaurant, clearly stating what they want and expecting it to arrive. But the quantum field is not a restaurant, and you are not a customer. You are both the chef and the meal, both the artist and the canvas, both the question and the answer. The experiences that show up in your life are not separate things being delivered to you from outside. They are expressions of your own consciousness, crystallized into form through the mysterious alchemy of attention, emotion, and expectation. This is why so many well-intentioned people find themselves stuck in what I call the manifestation maze. They learn technique after technique, practice visualization after visualization, repeat affirmation after affirmation, yet their external circumstances remain stubbornly unchanged. They begin to believe that manifestation doesn't work, that they are somehow broken or unworthy, that the universe has favorites and they are not among them. None of this is true. The issue is not with their worthiness or the effectiveness of manifestation itself. The issue is that they are trying to create change from the outside in, when quantum manifestation works from the inside out. To understand how quantum manifestation truly operates, we need to dive into the profound relationship between consciousness and reality that modern science is only beginning to acknowledge. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold creates a specific electromagnetic frequency that radiates out from your body and interacts with the quantum field around you. This is not metaphorical or spiritual bypassing. This is measurable, observable science. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute have documented that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends up to 8 feet beyond the physical body. This field carries information about your emotional state, your level of coherence, and your overall energetic signature into the environment around you. But here is where it gets fascinating. This electromagnetic field does not just carry your energy outward, it also acts as a kind of tuning fork that determines what experiences can resonate with you and find their way into your life. Think of it like a radio that can only receive stations that match its current frequency setting. If your internal frequency is tuned to scarcity, struggle, and limitation, then no matter how much you consciously desire abundance, ease, and expansion, those experiences cannot find a vibrational match in your field. They exist as possibilities in the quantum realm, but they cannot collapse into your lived reality because there is no resonant frequency to lock onto. This is why people can spend decades trying to think their way into different circumstances while remaining trapped in the same patterns. They are attempting to change the station while keeping their internal tuning dial locked in place. The thoughts they think during their morning affirmations may be positive and uplifting, but if their body is still carrying the cellular memory of past failures, if their nervous system is still programmed for hypervigilance and survival, if their subconscious is still running stories of unworthiness and limitation, then their true frequency remains unchanged. The quantum field is exquisitely sensitive to authenticity. It cannot be fooled by surface-level positive thinking or forced optimism. It reads the deeper currents of your being, the stories written in your cells, the beliefs encoded in your neural pathways, the emotional signatures stored in your heart. This is why genuine transformation requires what I call frequency integrity, a state where your conscious desires and your unconscious programming are aligned in the same direction, where your thoughts, emotions, and cellular memory are broadcasting a coherent signal. Most people have never learned to recognize their own frequency, much less how to consciously attune it to match their desires. They live their entire lives unconsciously, broadcasting whatever signal was programmed into them by their early experiences, their family dynamics, their cultural conditioning, and their accumulated traumas. They wonder why their life feels stuck, why the same patterns keep repeating, why their dreams remain just out of reach, never realizing that they are unconsciously calling forth experiences that match their hidden frequency rather than their conscious intentions. But once you begin to understand this principle, everything changes. You realize that manifestation is not about getting the universe to give you something. It is about becoming the frequency of what you desire so completely that reality has no choice but to reflect that frequency back to you. It is about transforming your inner world so thoroughly that your outer world spontaneously reorganizes itself to match your new energetic signature. This understanding brings with it both tremendous power and tremendous responsibility. Power, because you realize that you are not a victim of circumstances, but the creator of them. Responsibility, because you understand that every experience in your life, whether you label it positive or negative, is a direct reflection of your own consciousness. There are no accidents in the quantum field, no random events, no innocent suffering. There is only the perfect mirroring of inner state into outer experience. Before we continue exploring these profound depths together, I want to pause and acknowledge something beautiful that is happening right now. If you have made it this far in our journey together, if you are feeling something stirring within you, some recognition or remembrance or spark of possibility, then you are not here by accident. The quantum field guided you to this moment, to these words, to this understanding, because some part of your consciousness is ready to step into a new level of creative power. And that moves me deeply, because I know how rare it is to find souls who are genuinely ready to question everything they have been taught about how reality works and step into their role as conscious creators. If you are feeling that spark, If you are sensing that your life is about to change in ways you cannot yet imagine, then I invite you to hit that subscribe button right now. Not because I need your subscription, but because you deserve to be part of a community that sees you, that understands the journey you are on, that celebrates your courage to question the status quo and reach for something greater. And in the comments below, I want you to share just one word, whatever word comes to you first when you ask yourself this question: what frequency am I ready to embody? Don't think about it, don't analyze it, just let the word arise and share it. Because the moment you name it, you begin to tune into it, and the moment you tune into it, you begin to become it. Now we enter the sacred territory that separates those who merely understand manifestation intellectually from those who live it as a breathing reality. This territory is called embodiment, and it represents perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of conscious creation. Most people believe that embodiment means acting as if they already have what they want, putting on a performance of success or happiness or love until the universe catches up with their act. But true embodiment is not a performance. It is a complete reorganization of your identity at the cellular level, a fundamental shift in who you understand yourself to be. When I speak of embodiment, I'm talking about something far more profound than positive thinking or behavior modification. I'm talking about the alchemical process through which your consciousness literally rewrites the information stored in your cells, your neural pathways, your energetic field, and your relationship with reality itself. This process cannot be rushed, cannot be faked, and cannot be achieved through willpower alone. It requires a kind of patient intimacy with yourself, a willingness to feel your way into a new identity rather than thinking your way into it. Consider what happens when a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. The caterpillar does not simply put on wings and hope for the best. Its entire cellular structure dissolves into what biologists call imaginal soup, a state of complete dissolution that allows for total reconstruction. The butterfly that emerges is not the caterpillar with modifications. It is an entirely new being that has incorporated the essence of the caterpillar while transcending its limitations completely. This is the level of transformation that true embodiment requires and makes possible. When you begin to embody the frequency of your desired reality, you are not pretending to be someone you are not. You are allowing yourself to become who you have always been beneath the layers of conditioning, limitation, and fear. You are not adding something to yourself. You are removing everything that is not authentically you until only your true nature remains. And your true nature is infinitely creative, infinitely abundant, infinitely loving, infinitely free. But here is where most people encounter their greatest resistance: the ego mind. That part of you that has been constructed to keep you safe and predictable will interpret this dissolution as death. It will generate every possible reason why you cannot change, why you should not change, why change is dangerous or impossible or reserved for other people. It will remind you of every past failure, every disappointment, every time you tried to transform and ended up back where you started. It will whisper that you are being foolish, that you are setting yourself up for disappointment, that you should accept your limitations and be grateful for what you have. This resistance is not your enemy. It is a natural part of the process, like the contractions that precede birth or the heat that precedes the melting of metal. The resistance contains valuable information about where you are still holding on to identities, beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve you. Instead of fighting the resistance or trying to overcome it through force, true embodiment requires that you meet it with compassion, curiosity, and patience. The path of embodiment begins with what I call cellular listening. This means developing the ability to tune into the subtle sensations, emotions, and energies that are constantly moving through your body. Your body is not just a vehicle for your consciousness. It is a sophisticated information processing system that is constantly receiving and transmitting data about your internal state and your relationship with the world around you. When you learn to listen to this information, you gain access to levels of intelligence that your thinking mind cannot reach. For example, if you desire to embody abundance, you must first become aware of how scarcity feels in your body. Where do you contract when you think about money? What happens to your breathing when you consider taking a financial risk? How does your posture change when you walk into an expensive store? These physical responses are not just reactions to your thoughts about money. They are the actual frequency of scarcity being broadcast from your cellular memory, and they are actively repelling the very abundance you consciously desire. True embodiment of abundance would begin with gently bringing awareness to these contractions without trying to change them immediately. You would breathe into the sensations, allowing them to be felt fully rather than suppressed or avoided. You would offer compassion to the parts of yourself that learned to contract around money as a way of staying safe in an unpredictable world. And then, with infinite patience, you would begin to practice the felt sense of expansion, the cellular experience of having enough, the somatic reality of trust and ease around resources. This is not visualization. This is not affirmation. This is literally rewiring your nervous system to recognize abundance as safe, natural, and available. It is training your cells to vibrate at the frequency of your desires rather than your fears. And when this training reaches a critical mass, when your body knows abundance so intimately that scarcity feels foreign and uncomfortable, then the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself around your new energetic signature. We now arrive at perhaps the most crucial and transformative understanding in all of quantum manifestation. The recognition that your subconscious mind is not just influencing your reality, it is creating it with every breath you take. While your conscious mind entertains itself with hopes and dreams and positive affirmations, your subconscious is quietly broadcasting the real signal that the quantum field receives and reflects back to you. This signal is composed of every belief you absorbed before the age of 7, every trauma you experienced but never fully processed, every limitation you accepted as truth about yourself and the world. The subconscious mind operates approximately 1 million times faster than the conscious mind and processes roughly 40 million bits of information per second compared to the conscious mind's mere 40 bits per second. This means that while you are consciously trying to manifest abundance, your subconscious is simultaneously running thousands of programs that may be rooted in scarcity, unworthiness, and limitation. These programs were not chosen by you consciously. They were downloaded during your early years when your brain waves were in theta state, a hypnotic frequency that allows direct programming of beliefs and behaviors. Understanding this dynamic explains why so many people feel like they are fighting an invisible enemy when they try to create change in their lives. They set conscious intentions and work diligently toward their goals, but they keep encountering the same obstacles, the same self-sabotage, the same mysterious circumstances that seem to conspire against their success. They are not fighting external obstacles. They are encountering the resistance of their own subconscious programming, which is designed to keep them within the boundaries of what it considers safe and familiar. But here is the profound opportunity hidden within this challenge. Your subconscious mind, for all its power and speed, operates with the intelligence of a 6-year-old child. It learned its primary programs during a time when your capacity for critical thinking and discernment was not yet developed. This means that many of the beliefs that are currently running your life were formed by a child's interpretation of complex adult situations, and they may bear little resemblance to the truth of who you are and what is possible for you. The key to transforming subconscious programming lies not in fighting it or trying to override it with conscious willpower, but in developing a loving, patient relationship with the wounded parts of yourself that are still operating from those early programs. This requires a level of self-compassion that most people have never been taught, because our culture tends to treat subconscious patterns as character flaws rather than protective mechanisms that once served an important purpose. For instance, If you find yourself consistently sabotaging opportunities for success, your conscious mind might label this as laziness or lack of discipline. But if you approach this pattern with curiosity rather than judgment, you might discover that your subconscious learned early in life that being successful means being abandoned by people who felt threatened by your achievements. The sabotage is not a character flaw. It is an intelligent strategy designed to keep you connected to your tribe, even if that connection requires you to remain small. Once you understand the positive intention behind subconscious resistance, you can begin to dialogue with these parts of yourself with respect and appreciation rather than frustration and force. You can acknowledge the ways they have protected you while gently introducing new possibilities and perspectives. You can offer evidence that it is now safe to expand, to succeed, to receive love and abundance without losing the connection and security that these parts of you value so deeply. This process of subconscious integration cannot be rushed or forced. It requires the kind of patient, consistent attention that you might offer to a frightened animal or a traumatized child. It requires you to show up day after day with presence, compassion, and gentle persistence until the resistant parts of yourself begin to trust that change can happen without catastrophe, that growth can occur without abandonment, that you can become more without losing what matters most. The transformation of subconscious programming is not just about changing beliefs. It is about changing the fundamental frequency at which your entire system operates. When your subconscious programs align with your conscious desires, when your cellular memory supports rather than sabotages your intentions, when your nervous system recognizes expansion as safety rather than threat, then you become what I call a coherent creator. Your entire being broadcasts a unified signal that the quantum field can receive clearly and reflect back to you with precision and speed that will astonish you. Before we continue deeper into this profound territory, I want to pause and honor something that is happening in this moment. You have stayed with me through complex territory, through challenging concepts, through ideas that may be completely reshaping how you understand yourself and your relationship with reality. That tells me something important about who you are. It tells me that you are not here for surface-level inspiration or quick fixes. You are here because your soul is calling you toward a level of mastery and freedom that most people never even consider possible. And that moves me profoundly because I know how lonely this path can sometimes feel, how isolating it can be to see possibilities that others cannot yet perceive. If you are feeling that depth, that recognition, that sense of coming home to yourself, then please hit that subscribe button right now. Not just because you want to hear more, but because you deserve to be part of a community that understands the magnitude of the journey you are on. And I want to ask you something personal in the comments below. Share with me one pattern in your life that you now recognize might be a protective mechanism from your childhood rather than a character flaw. What story has your subconscious been telling you about why you need to stay small or safe or limited? Don't share anything that feels too vulnerable, but if you feel moved to share, know that your courage might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to recognize their own patterns. And please, if there are topics around consciousness, manifestation, or quantum reality that you would love me to explore in future videos, let me know. This channel exists to serve your highest evolution, and your questions and curiosities help guide me toward the content that will be most transformative. We now venture into territory that bridges the ancient wisdom of spiritual traditions with the cutting-edge discoveries of modern neuroscience and quantum physics. This territory reveals perhaps the most powerful key to quantum manifestation, the state of coherence between your heart and mind. For thousands of years, mystics and sages have spoken of the heart as the seat of true intelligence, as a gateway to divine wisdom that transcends the limitations of rational thought. Modern science is now validating these ancient insights with research that demonstrates the heart's extraordinary capacity to influence not only our internal state, but the very fabric of reality around us. The human heart contains approximately 40,000 neurons, creating what researchers call the heart brain, a sophisticated information processing center that operates independently of the cranial brain. This heart brain generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, producing an electrical field that is 60 times stronger than the brain's electrical field, and a magnetic field that extends up to 12 feet beyond the physical body. But here is what makes this discovery revolutionary for understanding manifestation. The heart's electromagnetic field carries specific information patterns that can be detected and measured. And these patterns change dramatically based on your emotional state and level of internal coherence. When you experience emotions like appreciation, compassion, love, or gratitude, your heart rhythm becomes highly coherent, creating a smooth, sine wave-like pattern that researchers call heart coherence. This coherent heart rhythm sends signals to the brain that promote clarity, creativity, intuitive insight, and emotional stability. But the influence extends far beyond your individual physiology. The coherent electromagnetic field generated by your heart creates what scientists call a field effect, influencing the quantum field around you in ways that increase the probability of experiences that match your coherent emotional state. This is where quantum manifestation moves from theory into practical application. When your heart and brain are in coherence, when your emotional state and your mental focus are aligned in the same direction, you become what quantum physicists call a coherent observer. And coherent observers have a measurably different effect on quantum systems than incoherent observers. They collapse quantum possibilities into physical reality with greater precision, speed, and consistency. Most people spend their entire lives in a state of heart-brain incoherence. Their minds are focused on what they want, while their hearts are constricted by fear of not getting it. Their thoughts are positive, while their emotions are negative. Their intentions are clear, while their feelings are confused. This incoherence creates what I call quantum static, a chaotic electromagnetic signature that confuses the field and results in mixed, delayed, or blocked manifestations. The path to heart-mind coherence begins with learning to feel your way into the emotional states that naturally generate coherent heart rhythms. This is not about forcing positive emotions or suppressing negative ones. It is about cultivating authentic appreciation for what is already present in your life, genuine gratitude for the opportunity to be conscious and creative, sincere compassion for yourself and others as you navigate the complexities of human existence. But here is where most people encounter a subtle but crucial misunderstanding. They try to generate these coherent emotions as a technique to get what they want, turning appreciation and gratitude into manipulative strategies rather than authentic experiences. The quantum field is far too intelligent to be manipulated by emotional performances. It responds only to genuine coherence, to real appreciation, to authentic love. This means that the path to mastery in quantum manifestation requires you to develop a sincere relationship with these elevated emotions, to find reasons to feel grateful and appreciative that have nothing to do with what you want to manifest. When you can rest in genuine appreciation for the miracle of your own existence, when you can feel authentic gratitude for the countless gifts that already surround you, when you can extend sincere compassion to yourself and others without needing anything in return, then you naturally generate the heart coherence that makes you a powerful co-creator with the quantum field. From this state, manifestation becomes not something you do, but something you are. You become a living magnet for experiences that match the coherent frequency of your being. The practice of heart-mind coherence also requires what I call emotional courage, the willingness to feel your way through the layers of protection and numbness that may have accumulated around your heart over years of disappointment, betrayal, and loss. Many people discover that their hearts have been locked away behind walls of cynicism, skepticism, and emotional unavailability as a way of protecting themselves from further pain. But these same walls that protect you from pain also block you from the joy, love, and abundance that you desire to experience. Opening your heart does not mean becoming naive or vulnerable to manipulation. It means developing the capacity to feel deeply while maintaining your boundaries, to love fully while honoring your own needs, to trust the process of life while remaining discerning about the people and circumstances you engage with. This is the difference between emotional maturity and emotional bypassing, between genuine coherence and forced positivity. We now arrive at perhaps the most mind-bending and reality-altering principle in all of quantum physics, a principle that completely transforms how we understand the relationship between consciousness and physical reality. This principle, known as the observer effect, reveals that the very act of observation changes the behavior of quantum particles, collapsing infinite possibilities into specific outcomes based on the consciousness that is observing them. This is not philosophy or speculation. This is documented, repeatable scientific fact that has been confirmed in laboratories around the world for over a century. At the quantum level, particles exist in what physicists call superposition, a state where they simultaneously exist in all possible states and locations until the moment they are observed. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates this principle with stunning clarity. When electrons are fired toward a barrier with two slits, they behave like waves and pass through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern on the detector screen. But the moment a conscious observer measures which slit the electron passes through, the wave function collapses and the electron behaves like a particle passing through only one slit. The implications of this discovery are staggering and completely overturn our conventional understanding of reality. It means that consciousness is not a passive observer of an objective physical world. Consciousness is an active participant in the creation of physical reality itself. The universe exists in a state of infinite potential until consciousness observes it into specific form. You are not living in a pre-existing reality that you must adapt to or struggle against. You are participating in the ongoing creation of reality through the quality and focus of your consciousness. But here is where this principle becomes personally transformative rather than merely intellectually fascinating. Your consciousness is constantly observing, constantly focusing, constantly collapsing quantum possibilities into your lived experience. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, every expectation you carry is acting as an observer that influences which possibilities become actualized in your life. You are not a passive victim of circumstances. You are an active creator of them, whether you realize it or not. Most people use their observer consciousness unconsciously and inconsistently. They observe their problems more than their possibilities. They focus on what is wrong more than what is working. They pay attention to their fears more than their dreams. They expect difficulties more than miracles. And because the quantum field responds to the quality and consistency of observation, they continue to collapse realities that match their unconscious focus rather than their conscious desires. The mastery of quantum manifestation requires you to become conscious and intentional about how you use your observer consciousness. This means developing the ability to direct your attention deliberately, rather than allowing it to be hijacked by whatever seems most urgent, dramatic, or problematic in your environment. It means training yourself to observe possibilities rather than limitations, solutions rather than problems, potential rather than past patterns. But conscious observation is not the same as positive thinking or denial of current circumstances. True mastery requires what I call quantum awareness, the ability to observe your current reality clearly and compassionately while simultaneously holding awareness of the possibilities that exist beyond current circumstances. This is the difference between resistance and transcendence, between fighting what is and creating what could be. For example, if you are currently experiencing financial limitation, Quantum awareness would involve observing that limitation without judgment or story-making, while simultaneously observing the infinite possibilities for abundance that exist in the quantum field. You neither deny the current reality nor become imprisoned by it. You hold both the present and the potential in your awareness, using your conscious observation to gradually collapse more abundant possibilities into form. This process requires tremendous patience and trust, because the collapse of quantum possibilities into physical form rarely happens instantaneously. There is often a time delay between the moment you begin observing new possibilities and the moment those possibilities become visible in your external circumstances. During this gestation period, it is crucial that you maintain consistent focus on the reality you are creating, rather than being seduced back into observing the reality you are leaving behind. The quantum field is exquisitely sensitive to the consistency and emotional authenticity of your observation. Sporadic attention produces sporadic results. Half-hearted focus produces half-hearted manifestations. But when you can maintain steady, loving, expectant observation of the possibilities you desire to experience, the field responds with increasing precision and speed. You become what physicists call a coherent observer, and coherent observers have a measurably different effect on quantum systems than chaotic or inconsistent observers. As we journey deeper into the practical mysteries of quantum manifestation, we encounter a profound truth that separates temporary change from lasting transformation. Most people approach manifestation as if they were redecorating a room, making surface adjustments while leaving the fundamental structure unchanged. But true quantum manifestation is more like rebuilding the entire house from the foundation up, creating a completely new architecture that can support experiences far beyond what the old structure could accommodate. This new architecture is built upon what I call the 3 pillars of quantum transformation: identity shift, frequency stabilization, and reality anchoring. Each pillar represents a different dimension of change that must be addressed for manifestation to move from occasional lucky breaks to consistent, sustainable creation. When all 3 pillars are solid and aligned, you become what ancient traditions called a master of reality, someone who can consciously participate in the creation of their experience with precision and grace. The first pillar, identity shift, requires you to fundamentally alter who you understand yourself to be at the deepest levels of consciousness. This goes far beyond changing your self-talk or adopting new beliefs. It involves what psychologists call ego death and rebirth, a process where the limited identity that has been running your life dissolves to make space for a larger, more expansive sense of self to emerge. This process can feel disorienting and even frightening, because the ego mind interprets the dissolution of familiar identity as literal death. But what dies in authentic transformation is not your true self. What dies is the collection of limiting beliefs, defensive patterns, and survival strategies that you learned to identify with, but that were never actually you. What is reborn is your authentic nature, your unlimited creative potential, your natural capacity for love, joy, abundance, and freedom. This rebirth cannot be forced or rushed. It requires a kind of patient surrender that allows the old to fall away naturally, while trusting that something infinitely more beautiful will take its place. The second pillar, frequency stabilization, involves learning to maintain coherent emotional and energetic states, regardless of external circumstances. Most people are emotional weather vanes, constantly shifting their internal state based on what is happening around them. When things are going well, they feel good. When problems arise, they feel bad. This emotional volatility creates inconsistent signals to the quantum field, resulting in manifestations that are equally inconsistent and unpredictable. Frequency stabilization requires developing what I call emotional sovereignty, the ability to choose your internal state based on your commitment to your highest vision rather than your reaction to current circumstances. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending that problems do not exist. It means developing the capacity to feel whatever is present while maintaining your connection to the frequency you are committed to embodying. For instance, if you are committed to embodying abundance, you learn to feel temporary financial pressure without shifting into scarcity consciousness. You acknowledge the practical challenges while maintaining your energetic alignment with the abundance that is seeking to emerge through you. This requires both emotional maturity and spiritual discipline, but it is absolutely essential for consistent manifestation. The third pillar, reality anchoring, involves learning to bridge the gap between invisible potential and visible form through inspired action, strategic thinking, and practical implementation. Many people in spiritual communities develop an allergy to practical action, believing that if they are truly aligned with the quantum field, everything will manifest without effort. But this represents a fundamental misunderstanding of how manifestation actually works. The quantum field provides opportunities, inspirations, synchronicities, and possibilities. Your job is to recognize these gifts and act upon them with intelligence, courage, and persistence. Reality anchoring means being both a visionary and a pragmatist, both a dreamer and a doer, both spiritual and practical. It means taking inspired action from a place of trust rather than fear, strategy rather than desperation, creativity rather than force. When these three pillars are strong and aligned, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. You no longer need to work at creating your desired reality because you have become someone for whom that reality is natural and inevitable. Your identity naturally generates the frequency that attracts the experiences you desire, and you effortlessly take the actions that anchor those experiences in physical form. But building these pillars requires what I call the courage of becoming, the willingness to let go of who you have been to become who you are capable of being. This courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to feel fear while moving forward anyway. It is the recognition that the pain of staying the same has become greater than the fear of changing. It is the understanding that you were not born to live a small, safe, predictable life, but to express the infinite creativity of consciousness itself through your unique human experience. The transformation process is rarely linear or comfortable. There will be moments of confusion when your old identity has dissolved, but your new one has not yet solidified. There will be periods of instability when your frequency is shifting, but has not yet stabilized. There will be times when the gap between vision and reality feels impossibly wide. These challenging phases are not signs that you are doing something wrong. They are natural parts of the metamorphosis process, like the darkness and dissolution that occurs inside a cocoon before the butterfly emerges. In this final exploration of quantum manifestation, we arrive at the most subtle yet most powerful principle of all, the mastery of presence. Presence is not a technique or a practice in the conventional sense. It is a way of being that naturally emerges when you fully embrace your role as a conscious creator of reality. Presence is what allows all the other principles we have explored to integrate into a seamless way of living that effortlessly attracts miraculous experiences. Most people spend their entire lives oscillating between the past and the future, reliving old experiences or rehearsing for future ones, never fully inhabiting the only moment where creation actually takes place, the eternal now. They miss the subtle signals, the gentle invitations, the quiet opportunities that the quantum field is constantly offering because their attention is everywhere except where their power actually resides. True presence is not just being aware of the current moment. It is being so fully aligned with the creative force of the universe that you become a clear channel through which infinite intelligence can express itself. In this state, you do not have to figure out how to manifest your desires because you become so attuned to the natural flow of creation that the right actions, words, and choices emerge spontaneously from your being. This level of presence requires what I call sacred patience, the willingness to trust divine timing even when your human mind wants results immediately. Sacred patience is not passive waiting, but active alignment. Not resignation, but recognition that there is a perfect orchestration at work that your limited perspective cannot fully comprehend. It is the understanding that everything you desire is already making its way toward you, and that your job is to maintain the frequency that allows you to recognize and receive it when it arrives. Mastery of presence also requires deep intimacy with uncertainty, the ability to rest peacefully in not knowing how your desires will manifest while maintaining absolute faith that they will. Most people are uncomfortable with uncertainty and try to eliminate it through control, planning, and micromanagement. But uncertainty is not the enemy of manifestation. It is the space where infinite possibilities live, and your ability to dance gracefully with uncertainty determines how much magic you can allow into your life. The ultimate mastery is reached when manifestation becomes invisible, when you are creating so naturally and consistently that it no longer feels special or noteworthy. You become someone who naturally lives in synchronicity, who effortlessly attracts supportive people and circumstances, who finds solutions appearing just when they are needed, who experiences what others call luck as a natural consequence of their alignment with the creative force of existence. This is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of true service. When you have mastered the art of quantum manifestation, when you have learned to live as a conscious creator rather than an unconscious reactor, you naturally become a beacon of possibility for others who are still trapped in limitation and struggle. Your very presence in a room raises the consciousness of everyone around you. Your way of being gives others permission to expand beyond their self-imposed boundaries. Your example demonstrates that another way of living is not only possible, but natural. But this level of mastery cannot be achieved through effort alone. It requires surrender to something greater than your individual will, recognition that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe, but an expression of it. It requires the humility to acknowledge that while you can influence and direct the creative process, you are not in control of it. There is an intelligence at work that is infinitely more vast and wise than your human mind, and true mastery involves learning to collaborate with this intelligence rather than trying to dominate it. The path of quantum manifestation ultimately leads to what mystics throughout history have called union with the divine, the recognition that the consciousness that looks out through your eyes is the same consciousness that creates galaxies, orchestrates ecosystems, and guides the evolution of species. When you truly understand this, manifestation ceases to be about getting what you want and becomes about allowing what wants to emerge through you to find expression in the world. This shift from personal manifestation to cosmic service is the natural evolution of consciousness itself. You begin to ask not, "What do I want to create?" but "What wants to be created through me?" You stop trying to bend reality to your will and start allowing your will to align with the deeper intelligence that is always seeking to express more love, more beauty, more truth, more healing in the world. From this perspective, your individual desires are revealed to be not separate from the cosmic plan, but integral expressions of it. Your longing for abundance is the universe's desire to experience prosperity through your unique perspective. Your yearning for love is existence itself, seeking to know its own infinite capacity for connection and intimacy. Your dreams of creative expression are the creative force of reality, using your human form to birth new possibilities into being. Understanding this transforms everything. You realize that you're not asking the universe for favors, but participating in its endless creativity. You're not trying to get something from life, but allowing life to give something through you. You become a willing instrument in the grand symphony of creation, and your individual manifestations become notes in a larger composition that serves the awakening and evolution of consciousness itself. This is the true meaning of quantum manifestation, not the ability to get what you want, but the capacity to become what you are, to express what seeks expression through you, to serve what wants to be served through your unique gifts and perspective. When you reach this understanding, you discover that you already have everything you need because you realize that you are everything you seek. The abundance you desire is the abundance you are. The love you yearn for is the love you embody. The freedom you crave is the freedom you express by choosing to align with your highest truth in each moment. And so we complete this journey where we began, with the recognition that quantum manifestation is stunningly simple, yet rarely practiced correctly. It is simple because it requires nothing more than being authentically yourself, aligning with your deepest truth, and trusting the intelligence that created you to guide you toward your highest expression. It is rarely practiced correctly because most people are looking for techniques and formulas when what is required is transformation and surrender. The invitation now is not to add more practices to your spiritual routine, but to begin living these principles as a way of being. To approach each day as an opportunity to embody the frequency of your desires. To treat each interaction as a chance to practice presence and coherence. To view each challenge as an invitation to deepen your trust in the creative intelligence that is always supporting your evolution. Your life is not a problem to be solved, but a masterpiece to be created. You are not a victim of circumstances, but a conscious participant in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The quantum field is not separate from you, waiting to be convinced or manipulated. You are the field, expressing itself as a unique and irreplaceable aspect of the whole. This understanding changes everything and changes nothing. Everything changes because you realize the incredible power and responsibility you carry as a conscious creator. Nothing changes because you recognize that this power and responsibility have always been yours, waiting only for your recognition and acceptance. The question now is not whether quantum manifestation works. The question is whether you are ready to step into your role as a master of reality, to take responsibility for the experiences you are creating, to align with your highest potential and allow it to express itself through every aspect of your life. The field is waiting. Reality is malleable. Infinite possibilities surround you in every moment. The only question that remains is, what will you choose to create? Thank you for taking this journey with me into the deepest mysteries of consciousness and creation. Thank you for your courage to question everything you have been taught about how reality works. Thank you for your willingness to consider that you might be far more powerful than you ever imagined. If this exploration has touched something deep within you, if you feel the stirring of your own creative potential, if you recognize yourself as the master you have always been beneath the layers of conditioning and limitation, then please subscribe to this channel. Not because you need more information, but because you deserve to be part of a community that sees your true nature and supports your highest evolution. And in the comments below, I want to invite you to make a declaration. Not a wish or a hope, but a declaration of what you are now ready to embody and create. What frequency are you choosing to stabilize in? What reality are you committing to anchor? What aspect of your unlimited potential are you ready to express? Your declaration is not just words on a screen. It is a quantum seed planted in the field of infinite possibility, a signal broadcast to the universe that you are ready to step into your power as a conscious creator. Speak it boldly, claim it fully, and then begin living it immediately. The time for preparation is over. The time for creation has begun.